presentation for prospective board members. Welcome to our candidates. I'm Jan Kalk, and I am so glad that you have interest in running for this position in the district. It's one that we hold very dear and is very important to the health and well-being of the district. So I will invite each of the candidates at this point, there's 4, to introduce themselves, and I will invite you to introduce yourselves with a minute presentation about why you're running, a little bit about yourself, and in the order in which you filed. Unfortunately, Terry Stone is not joining us, so I was going to start with Terry, but Dixie Youngers, would you like to begin with that?
Yes, good evening or good afternoon. My name is Dixie Youngers, and I am an incumbent candidate for the school board. It's an honor and a privilege to be serving in my 8th year on the school board. I am a parent of district alumni from Northtown, class of 2015 and 2017. And I have had various leadership roles in the school district, including being PAG's president, which is the Parents of Academically Gifted Students, for 4 years. I've been a Girl Scout leader for 10 years. I've been a youth friend for 9 years in our school district. I've served on several district committees, such as the Demographic Committee, the Legislative Affairs Committee, the Community Partnership Committee, Newmark Site-Based Council, and probably a few others that I'm forgetting. I'm also been married for 29 years and a Northland resident for 29 years. And I am running to continue to serve the community as a board member. I have fully embraced this role for the last 8 years, and I would like to continue to serve kids in our community. I am an engineer with an MBA, a Master's in Business Administration. I'm currently retired, so I do have time to devote to the board position.
Thank you very much. Anessa.
Anessa, you might need to put your mic on.
Got it on. Hi, I'm Anessa DeLong, and I am running for school board because I want to make a difference and contribute to the future success of the district. I think I would bring great energy to the board and a perspective from someone who has children entering the school district. I have been married to my husband, Bryant, for 6 years. We have 2 kids. William, which is 5, he just completed his pre-K at Shoto Elementary, and he's going to transition to Briarcliff in the fall. And then our youngest son is George, and he's following in his big brother's footsteps. I currently work at Park University as a LMS support specialist in their online operations area. I've been doing that since 2013. I'm a member of the Shoto PTO. I'm a member of the Hornet Hive, and I'm also a member of the Master Gardeners of Greater Kansas City.
Thank you very much. And Carrie Gleason.
Hi, I'm Carrie Gleason. I have been part of the school district, this North Kansas City School District, since 1984. I went to Chapel Hill, Antioch, Oak Park. I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers who also went through Chapel Hill, Antioch, and Oak Park. I've got a daughter at Staley, a daughter at Newmark, a son who will be pre-K next year at Belle Prairie, and then I have a niece at Staley, a niece at Northview, and a nephew that's going to be pre-K. We're just all over the place, the Gleasons are. My little brother, DL, coaches wrestling for the feeder program at Staley. My sister, Christy, is the Briarcliff administrator. So yeah, we are very rooted in North Kansas City School District, and I just really feel like, as rooted as we are and as many people as we know and love, I wanted to be more active and be an integral part of the community. I worked at Northland Legal Services, running our family law division for 10 years with my dad. And then I was a Clay County CASA during that time. So I definitely learned a lot about the needs of children in those roles. I worked on a congressional campaign. Mayor Kay Barnes was running for Congress. That was what I did after I worked at Northland Legal Services. And then for 10 years after the congressional race, I worked at a law firm where we represented communities who had been impacted by different environmental impacts. So I traveled the country and spoke with communities on how they've been impacted and what we could do to help them. So I really feel like I have a lot to bring to the board, especially in terms of, just bringing the community together and being the spokesperson for this community that I love.
Very good. Thank you so very much, all of you. We are, again, glad to have you here today and honored that you have enough interest to learn a little bit more about this position. I am very honored to serve as the board president this year, and we'll just give you a little bit of an overview about our board and how our board functions, as well as any of the boards in the state of Missouri. We are a board of 7, and our board is organized by the Missouri statute. There is no one individual on our board that has any more rights or weightier vote than another, and decisions that are made by our board are a decision of the whole. We are elected to office just as you are seeking office and are guided by the Missouri Sunshine Law in our public meeting practices. So, for instance, this meeting was posted and is available online for anyone to view. We generally meet every other week. We are meet at a regular board meeting as well as an educational meeting on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays, and those are always posted. Each of our board members bring very unique perspectives and talents to the table, and that is what makes our board, I believe, rich and very effective. I am pleased that our board tends to balance themselves on the mission of the district and always is reminding ourselves and putting our children first and the welfare of the community in all of our thoughts and minds as we make good decisions and debate good decisions. We have 21,179 students that are banking on the board being effective and being responsible and governing well. And I am pleased to say that I believe our board acts in that manner. We also, in addition to our regular and educational meeting, have executive session on occasion, and generally that means just preceding to the regular board meeting. The exec session is a closed session, however, and it has a very narrow bandwidth in terms of the things that we can discuss, which are either personnel or legal. And our board tends to always err on the side of transparency, and so by far and away, the majority of our board meetings are public, and we encourage and include the public as best we can. Structurally, as I mentioned, the board is a body of 7. However, we have several officers. We have the president, vice president, and treasurer that are members of the board. And then we have a board secretary that is a member of the staff that serves as our direct liaison to keep us very well informed and integrated in terms of our meeting postings and information flow. We also elect 3 delegates to the Missouri School Board Association Delegate Assembly. And so there are many legislative platforms statewide that that this delegate assembly discusses. They also talk about board member training and encouraging best practices, and host several seminars and trainings a year that we actively participate as a board. There's several committees that the board members do participate on, generally 3 or 4 a year, and the members do have input as to which committees they might best have interest or serve on. It's variable. People often ask me that are running for board, how many hours does it take to be a good board member? And I would say on average, 3 to 4 hours a week is probably how much board members are engaged, whether it's meetings or training or reading or participating in community-wide events or being visible in the community. But it's variable, and you get as much out of being a board member as you put into it, in my belief. After the election, once elected, members are installed at the first meeting immediately after election, and shortly thereafter, new members are invited and required to attend a Missouri School Board Association training for new board members. And it covers a variety of best practices and policies and things that would guide your way forward. A little bit about our roles. Goal setting and planning is one of our major roles as a board member, and many of the documents that you receive from Peggy point that direction, that we hold ourselves accountable to those plans year by throughout the year. We use a retreat opportunity to go through them and set benchmarks, and are very data driven to get to some of our endpoints. Most of our topics at all of the board meetings are tied to that balanced scorecard and initiatives in the plan. Student achievement, of course, is one of our #1 roles and responsibilities and things that we monitor and guide our time on the board. And much of our program and data is in looking at student achievement, student engagement, student safety and security, and all of the other things that impact students in our district and help guarantee their future success and to fulfill our mission. As fiscal stewards, we approve an annual budget and have monthly reporting. We also participate on an audit committee, and that audit is reviewed by the board annually. We maintain an operational reserve and discuss and are intentional on that percentage, and particularly this point when there is a crisis and there's changes in the district, having an operational reserve between 15 and 20% provides a lot of stability for our district. We also approve annual pay and benefits for our 3,300 employees. Regarding the superintendent, we hire and evaluate the superintendent. We use the goals that we've created in our balanced scorecard as our benchmark for the superintendent's annual evaluation and success. The superintendent is our only employee of the board, and the other employees work for the district and are accountable to the superintendent and his reports, but not to the board directly. Legally, we approve policies and ensure the district is operating lawfully. You'll hear from Steve Book, our district counsel, who reports to the boards on all things legal and helps interpret and implement policy for us. Advocacy-wise, we create an annual legislative platform that Tammy Henderson will speak to just a little bit, and educate legislators on public education issues and develop relationship with our legislators so that when an issue comes about at a session, that they know us and understand our priorities, and we have availability and accessibility to them. And lastly, communication. We are an ambassador for the district. It's important for board members to read through materials very carefully, be prepared, be knowledgeable, maintain relationships with each other, to maintain relationship with the staff, and to be a connector from the community back into the district. And our community is so supportive of the district, but it is a really important role to continue to be able to have those open dialogues with community. So being a good listener is an outstanding quality, I would say, as a board member. That is it in a nutshell. There are many, many other roles, but those are probably the main ones. Again, I thank you for your interest in running for this position on the board. It's really a tribute, I think, to the board to have people in the community that have such great interest that you would consider doing that. I am going to turn it over to Dr. Clemens and to the cabinet then to introduce themselves and to share a little bit more about their own departments, and then give you some time for questions and answers. I thank you for participating in the videos with Brian Mercer and getting as much information out about you for your own candidacy. We're going to try to conclude about 4:45 to 4:50 to help everybody virtually switch over to our board meeting so we can start promptly at 5 this evening. So Dr. Clemens, I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I feel like I know you. Of course, I know Dixie from our relationship, but also watching the videos from Brian and following you guys on Twitter has given so much information about your interest in North Kansas City Schools. And I would echo Jan's comments just about saying thank you. Thank you for your interest in North Kansas City Schools. We can always use lots of good advice and leadership at the board level. Again, I'm Danny Clemens. I've been superintendent here now for 4 years. It doesn't seem like it's possible. Finishing our 4th year, getting ready to move into some exciting times. As we're not 100% sure what next year will look like at this point, as you can imagine, health departments, CDCs, mayors, everybody's weighing into what public education will look like in our future. But ultimately, we will have a great plan for the Board of Education very soon. Chad will even share some of that tonight in the board meeting. But as we continue to get more information, we'll refine that plan and ensure that our kids are safe and ready to learn. Again, superintendent, I supervise primarily 8 people, 7.5, I'll say, and I'll get to that half at the end. I have the opportunity to supervise our deputy superintendent, Chad Sutton, who's over our academic services. You'll hear from him in a little bit. Chad Evans, who kind of runs the operational side of the building, takes care of our food service, transportation, security, and you'll hear from him as well. Matt Fritz is our money man. He's the guy that makes sure we spend our $280 million in the right spot and gives us good advice on how to run our bond issues and such. Rochelle Daniels, organizational development. She's a big part of our communications package. She deals with a lot of the Let's Talk on the website and such, and you'll hear from her. Jenny Gaddy runs our HR department. The 3,300 employees Jenny works with to ensure that they're moving in the right direction. Perry Helvitz is student services. He takes care of special education and many of the things, our social workers and such. And then Tammy Henderson's always down in Jeff City trying to make things go our way, and then working with our local folks to try to make sure we have the support we need in Clay County and all the jurisdictions to make things happen for us. And then that half person that I talk about a lot is Mr. Book. Mr. Book represents the Board of Education. So he, in bigger terms, is that Steve helps the board make great decisions. And sometimes those are including me. So he technically serves at the board's will and not the superintendent's will. I try to get him to go my direction when I can, but Steve is kind of that go-between between the board and I at certain points. We are the 3rd largest employer in Kansas City, north of the river, next to Ford and Cerner. We serve, we're the largest restaurant. We're the largest transportation department, the largest daycare. We get to be the largest in a lot of different things. But most importantly, in Kansas City, on the Missouri side, we're the largest school district. And we get the chance to take care of those 21,000 kids plus that Jan was talking about. And we take that very seriously. We want to make sure we can do all we can. And as board members, you'll hear anytime we've missed the mark. And we hope that you'll listen and pass that along to the board president or myself or whoever you feel comfortable with so that we can work through those issues to get things back on track. We hope that all times people feel like they're getting exactly what they need, but every once in a while we need a little help to make sure that happens. Primarily, the things that I work through as the superintendent is I want to make sure we pass bond issues so that we continue to grow. You know, bonds are for buildings and equipment and real estate and those types of things. They're not for salaries. Levies are for those, but those bonds are really important as we continue to grow as an organization. I'm in charge of making sure our strategic plan is always in place so that we can push forward and challenge ourselves. Our facility planning, we just passed the board approved a 10-year facility plan in which we'll continue to push forward to make sure that we don't only have the space we need for kids, but the space is equitable. Regardless of where you go to school in our school district, that there's a really nice classroom for you and something that you can really be proud of. The budget, we do a 5-year forecast, but when things like COVID-19 happens, that 5-year forecast changes really quickly. I think over the last couple of weeks, we've lost about $7 million in revenue that we're going to have to make up, but with Matt's work, we'll make that happen. Policies, Mr. Book and I review a lot of policies, and we try to set policy for the district to ensure that our kids and our staff are being treated the most appropriate way as possible. And then really to be futuristic. And that's kind of the fun part of the job, is to think about what our school district's going to look like in 10 years. Will we have enough space? Will our buildings be in good condition? Are there enough roads in the Northland to handle the capacity of the growth? But are we on track to make sure that our kids are achieving at the highest levels possible to be one of those school districts that everybody wants to be a part of? And so that's a big part of what we do as a cabinet in order to make sure we are on track to providing to be champions for all kids, and that's kind of our thing. And then I'd say the last thing that my job really entails is having great relationships with our teaching staff to keep them motivated to do what they can for kids, and also with our support staff. Our support staff is critically important to the success of the North Kansas City School District, and we don't ever want to forget about the work they do, particularly right now. One of the things that I like to share is our support staff ensured that we were able to serve over 500,000 meals since March 13th. That is just amazing to me, 500,000 meals. And they didn't have to do that, but they stuck in there and made sure that we took care of our kids. So I could keep talking forever. There's two things I can talk about: my family and this school district forever, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to turn it over to Chad Sutton, Dr. Sutton, and Academic Services, and have him share a little bit about his role.
Well, good evening. It's great to see everybody here tonight. And my role is fairly simple to remember: anything and everything that has to do with academics, and then anything that Dr. Clemens tells me to do. So those are really my two primary responsibilities at North Kansas City. But with supervising academic services, that includes anything and everything to do with school accountability, curriculum development, instruction, professional development, and assessment. So kind of oversee all those different dimensions, and not just the core subject areas, but also the electives, ELL, gifted education, and college and career readiness programming as well. And so above and beyond just kind of supervising all of those programs, I also directly supervise middle school and high school principals. And then Kristen Havens, one of my counterparts, she directly oversees all of our elementary schools and our Title pre-K program, along with all of our Title I, II, III federal programs as well. And above and beyond that, President Kauk talked a little bit about some of the frequent presentations that our team gives to the board. As she said, academic achievement is our #1 priority in North Kansas City schools. And similar to what Dr. Clemens just said, it's about futuristic thinking and thinking about what's next in education, and how do we continue to provide our students with cutting edge resources and instructional experiences to prepare them to be successful upon graduation from high school. So I appreciate getting to meet you two, and thank you again for running for the board, and heard lots of great things, and the videos have been great. So that's been a lot of fun. From there, I'll turn it over to Dr. Evans.
Thank you, Chad. My name is Chad Evans. I run or oversee, I guess, the operations department. Like Dr. Clemens said, the support staff is an integral and very important part of an organization. It's over 1,500 employees strong back here, and our main objective is to support Dr. Sutton and the mission of the North Kansas City Schools as far as our academic mission, as well as the social and emotional missions, and really just the overall mission of our school district, to be honest. Buildings and grounds consist of our custodial, our maintenance folks, our athletic grounds, just our grounds around the district, and everything that you see outside the buildings, as well as the athletics and activities. That's part of the operations department, the security. And so I know that President Kauk talked about the security as a big mission of our Board of Education, and it has been for quite some time. So that falls under operations. And then Dr. Clemens mentioned the food services and transportation, and how that has changed in the last 8 weeks on how and what we are doing and how we are delivering food to kids. And so the last part of this, and really an exciting part of this, like Dr. Clemens said, was the bond and the levy projects. That is something that the operations department oversees. And so hopefully next week at this time, we'll have another positive vote. And so we can oversee a lot of different projects going on, $155 million worth of them, as well as finishing up Bond 46, which is the North Kansas City High School bond, along with some other projects, elementary school, 6th grade centers and such. So it is a comprehensive department, but the number one goal of all the support staff here is to support the mission of the North Kansas City Schools to be champions for all kids. And that really has, it is ever changing, just like Dr. Sutton on how you're going to educate kids has changed in the last 8 weeks. We are here to support that in any way we can. And I appreciate, like Dr. Clemens said, the folks that come out here and want to be on the school board and to make a difference for kids and to make a difference for our community. So thank you very much for running for the school board. And with that, I'll turn that over to Dr. Gaddy in HR.
Thanks, Dr. Evans. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I oversee human resources, and just as Dr. Clemens said, that's approximately 3,300 employees, both certificated and classified. And I think that's the unique position I'm in, is I get to work with both sets of employee groups. Our office, primarily, we are recruiting, hiring, and retaining. Those three things are always a focus of our work. We also look at staff evaluations, compensation schedules, academic calendars, work calendars, workers' compensation, FMLA, leave tracking also falls under the Human Resources Department. We continue to work with, we outsource our substitute management services with Kelly Services, and I work very closely with Kelly Services to ensure that we have appropriate subs in place at all times and making sure our students are getting the appropriate education. And then we also work very closely on staff negotiations as well. Again, Dr. Clemens and Dr. Sutton both talked about being very futuristic, and they dream, and I figure out the staffing piece to make those dreams come true, and what we need to make all of that happen to make sure we are engaging our employees to fulfill the purpose of educating our students. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hilvitz.
Hi, my name is Barry Hilvitz, and I am the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. Student Services Office oversees many initiatives, including compliance, staff grievances, special education, 504, counselors, social workers, homeless and foster care, residency, student discipline hearings, public complaints, mental health services, nurses, social emotional learning, core data, and state reporting, alternative education, equity and diversity, and summer school. I report on the progress of our initiatives to the board regularly, as do the other members of cabinet. And I also meet with 2 board committees, that would be residency waivers and public complaints and appeals. It's nice to see you all today. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Matt Fritz, our Chief Financial Officer.
Hello, everyone. Matt Fritz, Chief Financial Officer for the school district. I think in the materials provided, you can kind of get a summary of what some of the things that we do. Essentially, anything that we do ultimately costs money. And so those things run through this department on some level throughout the district. I think what our goal is to be good stewards of the community's taxing resources that we use to educate our kids. And so really ultimately that responsibility lies in all of us to be good stewards of the money that we get from our community. Just specifically some things that I wanted to point out for all of you. We prepare a budget book every year. We do so in June as a preliminary budget, which is mandated by the state for us to produce a budget prior to entering into our fiscal year. So we do that preliminary budget in June. And then in August, we do what we call our final budget. It's kind of an update for the June book. One of the main things that we get information on in between that June and August time period is our assessed valuation, which is over 65% of our revenues for the district. And so we get more solid information on that at the end of July, and we set tax rates at the end of August when we also produce that final budget book. So we have a much clearer idea in August, and so that's kind of why we have those two benchmarks for the budget. The other things that we produce financial reporting wise are the financial statements, which is in conjunction with the annual audit. Our financial statements are reported on a modified accrual basis, which is similar to what you would see in any Fortune 500 company, but different than many of the school districts in Missouri that report on a cash basis. The other document that we prepare is the annual Secretary of the Board report, which is the state reporting document of our financials. And so those are the main finance components, reporting documents that you can review if you are so inclined. We have the financial statement audit and the budget book on our website. The ASBR is available on the state's DESE website as well. The other thing that we're working with right now is our IT infrastructure. As you know, as we move to this online learning environment, we've been well positioned previous to all of this in order to smoothly transition to that online environment. And I think that's a great accolade for everybody involved with the district, from the boards of the past to Dr. Clemens and everybody involved with having us at that 1-to-1 IT device ratio for our students so that we could send our kids home with the device to learn online. And with that, I will turn it over to Rochelle Daniels.
Hi. Boy, it's been a long time since we got to meet you all when you filed on Christmas Eve, I believe it was. So good to see you again. My name's Rochelle. I'm an assistant superintendent for organizational development and communications. Basically, that means that I'm in charge of leadership development for the organization, and then also the communications, print, social media, all variety of marketing, and then a lot of the two-way communications that we've been utilizing lately. We do an employee engagement survey, we do customer satisfaction surveys, and then most recently just getting information from patrons about how to proceed in this new environment. So all of those types of things are part of the communications aspect. Under the leadership development, I help co-facilitate the Superintendent's Leadership Academy, but then also the Support Staff Leadership Academy. And then we have a Student Advisory Council, as well as our monthly district leadership team meetings. Something that was a recent addition to the role in the past year was more innovative strategic planning, and it involved the succession planning for top leadership positions throughout the district. You may know that that's something that many other businesses do, but it's pretty new to education. So that's been a nice endeavor to really look forward and make sure we're building that bench of successors. So at this point, I'd like to introduce you to Tammy Henderson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tammy Henderson, and I am, like Ms. Gleason, am a product of the school district. So we have a lot invested in terms of time and emotion, shall we say, in the North Kansas City School District. In a role of community relations and governmental affairs, as Dr. Clements mentioned, I do oversee the governmental advocacy for the district. That means I spend a lot of time in Jeff City, but I also work at the federal level and then at our local level. We actually meet monthly with the City of Kansas City, our council people. We meet about once or twice a year with the people with the Council of North Kansas City, and then the same with Gladstone. We also have a relationship at the county level as well. So a lot of our revenues come through those sources. A lot of teamwork needs to happen through those different groups. And so I tend to work with those groups, just making sure that North Kansas City is first and foremost when they're thinking of things, and that we can take advantage of some of the programs, but also making sure they know what we're doing. Like you, in many respects, I'm a liaison with the community for the school district. I work with our different business and civic organizations. a lot of different groups to make sure that North Kansas City School District is represented on their boards and committees, and then just making sure that we are tied into all of our community partners to make sure that we're a good community partner to them. So we work a lot with Northland Neighborhoods, the Northland Chamber, the Gladstone Chamber, the Clay County EDC, the Greater Kansas City Chamber, and I think I'm probably missing one or two. I'm on the board for the Economic Development Corporation of Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm probably missing a couple, but we feel very important that North Kansas City Schools needs to be out in the community. I also work very closely with our alumni. We've set up alumni associations for each of our 4 high schools. We do regular communications with them, either through email. We do a lot with Twitter and Facebook, and organize events usually tied to homecoming for our alumni to come back and celebrate with us. And then I also work with the district's education foundation. I oversee that particular group. Jan Lewis is the director of the foundation and has built an organization there that is really second to none, in my opinion. They have an advisory board that they work very closely with, and have given thousands upon thousands of dollars that they've raised for scholarships for kids, and also for the Kaler grants, which is a big program we have that presents grants to teachers so they can do things that are a little outside the box and a little outside the norm and a little outside of what the district would normally be able to afford for them to do. So that's been a very exciting program. We also work with the community education group, which includes adult basic ed, adult English language learners, school-age child care, partners in education, and then community ed as a whole. And that's a very, very busy group. In many ways, that is a public face to our patrons who don't normally have a tie to the school. Some of our older folks may take a class through community ed. Some of our newer members of our community may come through the adult English language program. So just things that touch the community, I tend to stick my nose in. So I think with that, I pass it off to Mr. Book.
Thank you, Tammy. Hello, all. I'm Steve Book, and I am District Legal Counsel, a Department of One. But as Dr. Clemens had mentioned earlier, I have kind of a bit of a dual role in that I work directly with the board and with district administration and Dr. Clemens to help a lot with day-to-day issues that might arise. As a public school district, we are governed by kind of a bunch of different federal laws, state laws, local laws, and regulations. And so I help everybody try to keep on the right side of those and keep track of everything to make sure that we are doing things as correctly as we can. In addition to kind of the day-to-day legal work, board policies have been mentioned, and that's a big role of the board, is to adopt and maintain board policies. And so as you can look online and see the variety of policies that the board has adopted that addresses all areas of the school district and its operation. And so through the Missouri School Boards Association, we occasionally receive updates of different policies. And so part of what I do is review those, share them with others in the district who they might apply to make sure that they make sense and that they work with how we work, so that we're always in compliance with our board policies. I review all of the contracts that come through the district. The board of education approves contracts at every business meeting, typically through the consent agenda. And so part of my job is to review all those contracts to make sure that they are not only legally compliant, but also benefit the district as much as possible. And then part of what I do also is legal training of staff, both at the beginning of the year and then also throughout the year as needed, and generally help out with risk management. A district this size always has some level of claims or some volume of claims that we deal with, but we do what we can to limit those as much as possible. So thank you. And I have nobody to kick it to. So
Nobody to kick the can to.
I'll pick up the ball. We wanted to give you each a little bit of time for questions and to direct them. Let us maybe organize ourselves so that you can each ask one question, and we'll keep round robining so everybody has an equal opportunity. And Carrie, let's start with you at this point. Do you have any questions?
I do have a question about kind of the culture of this team. You know, I know that this team, this board, has a very good reputation as far as getting stuff done and seemingly work well together. But I'm just curious about what the culture looks like and what is done, kind of what deliberate actions are taken to ensure that there's a good, healthy culture with this team.
Are you speaking with the board team or the administrative team, or specifically?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm talking about the whole team, the team as a whole. I don't know if that is a team that can be, I don't know if it's a question that can address the team as a whole necessarily. If it is, then for the team as a whole, just kind of what makes sense in terms of what.
Let me take a stab at this, and then Dr. Clemens can also share from his perspective. One of the biggest things I think that is important in our culture is respectfulness and clear understanding of roles and responsibilities, and being very clear and transparent about what we're thinking, what our questions are, and an element of trust between all of us. And I think that that is just really critical for this district, and that there are no hidden agendas or no opportunities where there's coalitions or alliances that are counterproductive. And I think we're very respectful of each other's time and the number of things on our plates, and how that if we get too distracted with things, we lose sight of our mission, and we lose sight of the time and opportunities we have to serve our children. And so I think being mission focused is first and foremost trust and transparency. So Dr. Clemens, other things?
Well, I think you did a really nice job of talking about the points I would like to hit. I would say transparency is critically important to us. 4 years ago, when I became superintendent, the first position we hired is we shifted some money around and hired Mr. Book for that very reason, to ensure that the board was getting all the information that they needed to make the best decisions they could. I think my cabinet would tell you that if it's good for kids and teachers, it's their job to figure out how to make it happen. We are very student, our mission drives our work, and we are all about supporting our students. And many times that means supporting our teachers so that they can help our kids. And then I would say last is that we do a pretty good job of listening. We can always do better, but listening and finding out what parts of that culture need support and help. And Rochelle's department, through surveying and the board from sharing information, helps us guide where we need to be in order to support kids.
All right. Anessa, do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you to the cabinet and to the board for holding us and giving us the synopsis of each individual and their duties that they do. And I also want to say thank you again for the lunch meals, because we have been partaking them every afternoon. Is the highlight of my kids' afternoon. We enjoyed the lunch bunch over at the North Kansas City High School, and then we're getting to know their new group that are there until the end of June. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Dixie.
Yeah, so I actually do not have any questions since I'm been on the board for 8 years. But I would reiterate what was discussed earlier, is that there is a lot of trust between the board and the cabinet, and that is critical to our success. And we are, in my opinion, very professional with each other, and we do have that trust. That doesn't mean that we all agree on everything, or that we're I don't know, I think Jan mentioned in her discussion. Like, we're not a coalition or anything like that, but we do have a lot of professionalism and trust. And I will say that not every board and cabinet in our state is like that, or across our country. So I feel that we are very fortunate to have that kind of situation in our school district.
Carrie, do you have another question? Thank you, Dixie.
No, I don't think I do. I also want to thank you guys for being, for hosting this today and for giving us this information. It's making me even more excited at the prospect of being a part of this team. So I think it's really exciting and super excited regardless for the future of this district. I'm so proud of it. I brag about it all the time. Proud of my kids. I'm proud of my kids' friends. I'm proud of so much about this district. So thank you all around.
Very good. If there are no other questions, we thank you all for participating today. Thanks to all the cabinet members for preparing your presentations and being so informative of us all, and to you candidates again, thank you so very, very much about caring so deeply about North Kansas City schools and committing to our students as well. So best of luck to all of you, and also to Terry Stone at the polls. And we will see you on June 2nd then. Thank you very much. And we're going to adjourn this, and we will pick up at 5 o'clock for the regular board meeting. So I hope you will join us. And in North Kansas City, high school graduation is virtual tonight, and then the rest of the district throughout the rest of the week. And then next Monday is daily. So we'll capstone it with that. So thanks again for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. This is Jan Kauk. I'm board president. I'm calling the meeting to order for the regular Board of Education meeting for North Kansas City Schools on Tuesday, May 26, 2020. Due to the guidelines from the CDC, this is going to be a meeting that is video conferenced, and it is live streamed on our district YouTube channel. And a direct link to any of the to this channel is on.
I'm unmuting and I don't think anybody hears me.
We can hear you, Terry.
So they can't hear you and you can't hear them.
I don't know. Jan, can you hear me?
I can.
She can hear me, but I can't hear her.
Okay.
If you could mute, there you go. Thank you. Additionally, recorded video will be available on tonight on
Okay,
the
so
district
the meeting has
website.
started.
Okay.
The other.
So can you mute your microphone so that they're not hearing you talk to me?
Give it a minute. There you go. The other announcement that I wanted to provide tonight is that the proceedings will be closed captioned tonight. So we invite speakers to speak clearly and to pace their presentations, if they would, a little slightly slower so that the closed caption functions very well. Thank you for doing so. This is a very exciting meeting. We have a very good presentation this evening. As we call ourselves to order, please, and begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. And Winnetonka student Maya Smith will help us with that. Please stand.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, that was Maya Smith with Winnetonka student. And now I would invite Peggy Cole to call our roll, please. Peggy, you are on mute. Can you call our roll, please?
I think I'm back now.
There you are. Thank you.
Miss Youngers?
Here. Here.
Miss Wardick?
Here.
Can you hear me? Miss Reinhardt?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
He's present, but he's
Mr.
muted.
Harrell? Dr.
Here.
Ward?
Here.
Ms. Kalk?
Here. Thank you. We are all here tonight. So tonight, as I mentioned, is a very special night as we honor those who have served our schools in a variety of ways. These are our outstanding retirees. As a group, they have celebrated, we have 85 celebrating this rite of passage, and it's been a very unusual year for these retirees, but we are so honored to still be able to honor them tonight. They represent a grand total of 1,171 years of service, with 38 employees having been in North Kansas City schools for more than 25 years. Most notably, we have Melody Schoger, a math teacher at Newmark that retires with an outstanding number of 42 years in the district. We are recognizing each individual for their outstanding and incredible achievements. And now I invite Paul Harrell, our Vice President, to read the board resolution. And then we will proceed with a special program honoring these individuals tonight. Paul.
Yes, I'd be glad to. And again, congratulations to all the retirees. I'd like to read the following resolution. Whereas the North Kansas City Board of Education employs persons in various capacities in the district whose responsibility it is to serve the educational, safety, physical, and nutritional needs of the children and youth of the North Kansas City Public Schools. And whereas these persons exemplify the highest level of dedication and commitment in accepting these responsibilities. And whereas These responsibilities involve guiding and leading children into new adventures through each step in the educational ladder. And whereas they have taught these children the wonder of books and the mysteries of the world, helping them through years of educational development. And whereas they have helped them grow to the teenage years and beyond into adulthood. And whereas these persons have exhibited the highest order of character, integrity, and competency while molding young lives into worthwhile patterns, always discharging their responsibilities with honor and pride. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of North Kansas City Schools, in recognition of the aforesaid years of service and contribution, herein expresses appreciation and gratitude by presenting this resolution as a token of respect to each retiree employee of the North Kansas City Schools. The board further designates that this resolution be conveyed to the retirees and be placed within the official board meeting minutes of the Board of Education. In witness, therefore, the board has passed this resolution on the 26th day of May, 2020, with its corporate seal hereon affixed and executed in its name by its proper officials. And with that, do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and resolved by Paul Harrell and seconded by Dixie Youngers. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Youngers?
Yes.
Ms. Weidig? Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Stone? Mr. Harrell?
Yes.
Dr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Kalk?
Yes. And now I would like to turn the program over to Dr. Daniels.
Thank you, President Kalk, and good evening to our 85 retirees. Under normal circumstances, we would have been gathered right now at Briarcliff Marriott overlooking downtown and enjoying a nice dinner. Principals and supervisors would have loved meeting your family and friends in celebration of you. You would have left with a gift bag in hand, ready to hop on a cruise ship tomorrow to celebrate this momentous occasion. But how things have changed in such a short amount of time. Today's conditions are certainly not what we would have planned for you as you conclude your service to North Kansas City Schools. Sometimes, though, in times of great uncertainty, certain things remain the same. And we know that you are tremendous examples for the students that you served and the colleagues who won't quite know how to carry on without you. You've left an indelible mark on North Kansas City Schools by contributing to our rich history and our tradition. We are certainly better for having known you and are forever grateful for your commitment to serving as champions for all students. I hope you've grabbed some popcorn tonight to enjoy the following presentation of our esteemed retirees. Those being honored will be sent a direct link to the following video, in addition to information about receiving your certificate gift box, a copy of tonight's resolution, and a few other surprises we have for you. Thank you to principals, supervisors, Peggy Cole and Susan Highland for making what you're about to see possible.
Christy is authentic and made meaningful connections with students. She was always available to help her students succeed. She has made a lasting impression on the world through her students' lives. Cheryl exceeds expectations, but most of all, she does so with heart. She always puts others first and brings a smile to those around her. The relationships that she has with students and staff are what makes her irreplaceable. Linda's commitment and passion in working with students is part of who she is. She empowers students to become independent learners, striving to always improve in all academic and social aspects. Dana is a quiet leader, full of wisdom, patience, and kindness. She has made considerable contributions to the school through volunteering for many leadership roles and organizing activities within the community. Mary is a Northtown alum. She enjoys sharing her love for her high school and college alma mater, Mizzou, along with the Royals. Mary has been an amazing teacher. Her positive attitude and encouragement will be missed. Susan worked as the Food and Nutrition Service Manager, and she was a valuable asset in the school, incorporating fun activities in the cafeteria, attending school functions, and always participating in school spirit events. Chris has a zest for life and is extremely passionate about her family and dedicated to the students she serves. Chris is always the first to volunteer and help anyone. Her generous heart, fun personality will be greatly missed. Jerry was a favorite among the staff and students. She came to work at Davidson as a para after retiring as a teacher. She has a fun-loving spirit, which she shared daily. Judy has worked at several buildings in North Kansas City Schools and was an early adopter of the speech improvement program in the district. Her passion for helping students achieve better speech and language skills is evident. Janet always has a positive attitude and a smile on her face. Janet worked with students who were not always able to express themselves with words, but was able to help them succeed in their daily endeavors. Linda always had a welcoming smile and always worked to make the library a wonderful place for students to enjoy. She worked to develop strong relationships with all students and was always willing to jump in and help out. Janine developed strong relationships with each student. If a student was having a bad day, she would do whatever she could to help turn that student's day around. Janine's humor and caring heart will be missed. Christy created a lasting impression on students and staff. She partnered with parents and teachers to help students improve their reading abilities. We'll miss her smile and sense of humor. Nancy has been an exceptional counselor. Her special ability to comfort and support anyone in need is unparalleled. Our students are better citizens because Nancy was their teacher. Emma Robinson's leadership and stewardship empowers our team of clerks to provide safety, encouragement, and care for thousands of children. She will be greatly missed. For nearly 3 decades, Linda has greeted visitors. She is our institutional memory and organization soul. Linda's nurtured countless students who consider her a dear friend and a second mother. Kim is a product of North Kansas City Schools from elementary through high school. Through her many positions, most recently a kindergarten teacher, she has touched lives of thousands of students across the district. Janet is known for her humor and wit. She's the first one to break out into a dance or sing a silly song to bring a smile to a student's face. She will be greatly missed. Pam is loved by many students. She has instilled in them the value of hard work in accomplishing one's goals. Pam's love of history is found woven in many of the lessons she taught. Debbie's exceptional organizational skills meant school always ran smoothly and teachers had what they needed. Debbie's favorite memories are seeing former students come in to enroll their own children. Janice is proud of the lasting relationship she has built with students and coworkers, whom she now regards as her lifelong friends. Janice will miss the smiles, hugs, and I love yous from students. Irene is a relentless advocate for our students and families. She believes in the unique potential of each one and makes sure that everyone knows how incredible our students are. Irene has the biggest heart. Glinda has a special way of connecting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties. Key's audio is shooting out to YouTube, and Paul Guest just texted me and said, as a great NEA president would, hey, we don't see anything out here. So Keith is transferring it to another computer, and we are going to redo this.
Nice.
Our retirees certainly enjoy it, and President Kalk, if you wouldn't mind, I had a few words I was going to say at the end. Would you care if I go ahead and say them why they transfer the video?
Certainly, please do.
Yeah, well, certainly I would like to also say my thank yous to the 80 plus retirees that we have. You certainly have left your mark on North Kansas City, and it's not at all how I thought we were going to end our relationship. And I'm hoping that it's not over. I'm hoping that you'll continue to be involved in North Kansas City Nation as you've impacted thousands and thousands of kids through your career with us. And we hope that you'll come back and see them during activities, and certainly we always want more people to watch our fine arts programs and sporting activities. So come back and do that. We also would like you to sub. If you decide to get too bored at home, come back and sub for us, as we always think that our retirees make the very best subs because they know our kids, they know our culture, and can really help kids along the way. And so if you don't want to do those two things, there's always youth friends. And Miss Henderson and her team would love to sign you up to be a youth friend. Once we have 21,000 kids out there, there's always somebody that needs that extra little support on a weekly basis to help get across the finish line. And we hope that each and every one of you would consider doing that. But most of all, I want you to relax and enjoy life, and just know that we'll continue to make you proud each and every time you read about our school district moving forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Absolutely. And I did want to give each of the board members an opportunity to say something individually. And so to organize ourselves, if we circle around our virtual board table, I'd like to start on the end with Dixie Youngers, if she might share a few words.
Absolutely. Yes. Can everybody hear me and see me? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I would just like to congratulate all the retirees. I saw a lot of very familiar faces on the video that I was able to see. Many of you are friends and acquaintances, and just thank you so much for your contribution to our district and to our children in our community. And I wish you all the excitement in your retirement, and let's get together and do something. Thank you.
Judy Wartek, would you like to share something?
Yes. Watching the 4 minutes or so that we did see there at the beginning, I came across many familiar faces that my paths have crossed in the years that I've spent working in the district. A couple of them I actually hired into the district, so it doesn't seem possible that they're retiring already. But best wishes to those who are closing this chapter of their careers, and I wish you the best as you open your new chapters and explore the retirement world. Congratulations.
Jane Reinhardt?
Yes. Special congratulations to everybody for making it to retirement. I retired 3 times. It doesn't stick. You're going to get a phone call. They're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And you just need to put down the phone and walk away and say, thank you. It's been real. Peace out. So enjoy. Thank you so much for all your hard work and service to the district.
Great. Mr. Ward, Dr. Ward, are you there? Terry?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would join my colleagues in congratulating each and every one of the retirees on making it to the finish line. This is the start of a new chapter, as was stated. I've already started that chapter. It's a wonderful chapter, and you've got the flexibility to do whatever it is that warms your heart and brings you joy, and please make that part of it. Know that we appreciate what you did to contribute to our 21,000 students and what they have as a better future because of your impact. We count on you. We rely on you. You served them and us well. Thank you so much. And here's all the best for a wonderful retirement.
Paul Harrell?
Yes, congratulations. Just like so many of my colleagues have said, you did make it across the finish line, and we're certainly proud of you. But more than anything else, thank you for what you have done for our students, for our North Kansas City family, and to our community. Again, it's through your hard work that you really made a difference in a lot of people's lives. So again, congratulations. And just like, again, to take one line out of the resolution that I read earlier in the night, but again, as you as educators have taught our children and our students the wonder of books and the mysteries of the world. So for that, we're ever grateful. And again, this is just exciting as you enter new chapters within your life. So again, congratulations.
Is Mr. Stone available by phone or by computer? He is not, and I'm sure he would share some words, but I will not speak for him tonight. I will just add my appreciation and thanks to you all. I'm sure that if we had the opportunity to shake each other's hands and to share some stories, and to we would be smiling and having a number of laughs and opportunities to smile about the very, very good memories, and probably a few tears in sentimentality, because I know you have seen a lot and done so much for our children and been so much a part of their lives. We know with education that relationship is key in student success, and you have brought those to the table and have been great employees of ours, and we are so very, very appreciative. I understand the video is now available, and so we are going to go back to the video, and then I will close with a few last words then. Mr. Howe. Well, I thought it was. Let me see here. Okay. Here we go.
Nope, no audio.
Can you hear the board meeting now?
We're still not getting audio. I am so sorry. Let's proceed with our business as you have the opportunity to continue to work with us, and maybe we can close our meeting with the time. I'm a little conscious of the fact that we have a graduation to watch tonight that will be virtual. I do notice that Terry Stone is back. Terry, is your audio video working? I see your video. Would you like to share any words for the retirees?
He looks muted on my
I think
screen.
Still is.
There we go.
Thank you, Dix.
There you go.
I'm sure all of you have expressed your gratitude and thanks for their years of service, and I would certainly add my name to that and all they've done for our school district and our kids.
Good. Thank you. Just in time. All right. I believe we'll go ahead and move on with our agenda if that's permissible, and we'll go back and see if we can end the meeting with the video. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dixie Youngers and seconded by Terry Ward. Roll call, please.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt, Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kalk.
Yes. Okay. Same with the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Youngers and seconded by Mr. Stone. Any comments, questions? The consent agenda today consists of food and supply contracts, some COVID compliance opportunities, and some software for buses that will allow parents to track kids while they're on our school buses, to name a few things. Hearing none, roll call please for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kalk.
Yes. On to 4.01 is the treasurer's report, warrants and investments. Terry, do you have any comments on the financials?
Yes, Madam President. The financial report was distributed earlier, and Mr. Fritz and I had an extensive conversation about it. Where we are right now is just fine. If you look at today and how we got here, don't look at tomorrow. It gets a lot more murky very fast. I would say, as we discussed it, what we're looking at is we will probably end this year about where we intended to end this year as far as fund balance. And we will be very close. It will not be anything that will cause a disruption in where we're starting the new year. But if you look at the printed treasurer's report that you received before the meeting, there is a litany or a list, whichever way you'd like to say it, of items that are up in the air, and they are indeed up in the air. Not knowing where the state's going to finish its budget year, not knowing what's going to come out of the federal government, having no idea what we're going to be looking at in the way of people wanting to get their assessed values changed on their property. Not for sure knowing where we are on obviously the election next Tuesday. There are just a number of variables for next year. It is our intent to bring to the board at the business board meeting in June a budget for approval. We are working to do what we can to, I'm going to call it sensitivity test as many of the variables as we can, so that we can discuss with the board as a board the what level of confidence we want to place around it and how we are going forward. This is a year where probably the August approval will be a lot more than a routine reaffirmation of the June preliminary budget. At the time that it's put together in June, there'll still be a passel of question marks. The good news is we think we will end this year with a solid fund balance in the 18 to 19% range. That gives us some working flexibility for next year. As Danny mentioned earlier, he and Matt have already been working on trying to figure out where there's room to move within our budget short of cutting programs. But it's going to be a very interesting meeting. So please come to that meeting in June with your eyes wide open and ready to go. To the extent possible, we can get anything to the board before the meeting so you can really start looking at some of the variables rather than just the budget proposal. We'll try to do that for you. But so it's a tale of two cities, one over our shoulder and one looking forward.
Good. Thank you. Things are beginning to roll out a little bit from the state, but as you said, things remain very uncertain going forward. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Ward or Matt Fritz?
No, I'll just add, thank you very much for spelling out what many of those variables are within the treasurer's report, the written format. I think, again, as Dr. Ward mentioned, there's numerous variables there, and I appreciate that they were spelled out within the written document. So thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval of the treasurer's report, please?
So moved.
I will second that.
Okay, moved by Terry Ward and second by Paul Harrell. Roll call, please.
Ms. Youngers,
Abstain.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone, Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kalk.
Yes. As part of our consent agenda under personnel, we have approved for a new hiree, a new principal, and Dr. Gaddy was going to make that introduction this evening.
Thank you so much. As you stated, we did approve the hiring or the appointment of Christy Barnes as the principal of Northview Elementary School. Mrs. Barnes began her career in education as a special education teacher in the Oak Grove School District. She then taught for North Kansas City Schools as a special education teacher and a 5th grade teacher. She then continued teaching in the Park Hill School District in 2005 in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. Mrs. Barnes decided it was time to return home to North Kansas City Schools in 2015, where she was appointed the assistant principal at Maple Park Middle School. As I said, she most recently has served in the capacity of the assistant principal at Northview Elementary School. Mrs. Barnes has earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education and special education from Northwest Missouri State University. She also earned a master's degree in elementary education from Webster University, completed her specialist degree in leadership and elementary principalship through Northwest Missouri State University, and while at Northwest, she received the Excellence in Education Award. We are so honored that Mrs. Barnes has accepted the position and that you have approved her tonight. She's going to do great things at Northview. Thank you.
Very good. Congratulations to you, Christy. We will look forward to visiting with you in your school and appreciate your leadership throughout the district before and going forward. So congratulations again on behalf of the board. We will move on to new business, and we have a resolution on suspending policy due to COVID-19, and Mr. Book is going to address that with us.
Yes, thank you. The resolution is one that was proposed by MSBA, and really the purpose of it is to allow some flexibility kind of in these times when things are moving pretty quickly or have been moving pretty quickly. We want to be sure that to the extent possible that board policy is consistent with the current law. And as we know, that current law has been evolving as we've experienced this pandemic. So I just want to give you the highlights of what the resolution says. Initially, it says that the district will implement some emergency FMLA, which is Family Medical Leave Act laws, and emergency sick leave laws that were enacted by the federal government. I can tell you that the district has already been doing that since that has been enacted. But then it goes on to state that while there is this state of emergency that is currently in effect as ordered by the governor, if there is a law or a regulation that is either enacted or changed that is related to COVID-19, to the extent that we have a board policy in place that might conflict with that new law or that changed law, that board policy would be temporarily suspended without the board taking any additional action. If that occurs, the administration and likely me would be updating the board so that the board is aware if any policy has been impacted. And it is effective until either the state of emergency as declared by the governor is over, or the board would revoke it either in whole or in part. Some examples that may come up, and it's difficult because we don't know exactly what might come up, and I guess that's really part of the reason for the resolution. If there's a change in school calendar requirements, or our facility use policy, we have a policy that allows the community to use our facilities, and obviously that's being impacted by COVID-19, or leave policies, as I referenced earlier. To the extent we have some laws that come into effect that may change those things, any applicable policies or policies that would be related to that would be suspended. Primary benefit, it allows for flexibility and ensures legal compliance without the board having to come back or come together each time to address each specific policy. It's important to note, I think, that it is only for things that are policies or laws that are changed due to COVID-19. So this certainly would not be any kind of open invitation to suspend certain policies. It would only be if it's a law that's enacted related to COVID-19. Would this resolution come into effect? Can I answer any questions?
Hearing no questions, you did have the full resolution in your packet, had the opportunity to read through that. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution on suspending policy due to COVID-19.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Younger, seconded by Dr. Ward. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone, Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
I was a yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kauk.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's passed unanimously. Additionally, then 5.02, we have information on our 2020-2021 extended year academic calendar year, and Dr. Gaddy is going to address that.
Thank you. As you remember, in April, Ms. Havens brought to you some information regarding the Crestview and Wynwood extended calendar and looking at what those dates were already established for June and July. We're asking at this time that the board amend those dates, moving the June session to June 3rd to June 26th with a break from June 29th to July 3rd. I'm sorry, to July 10th. And then school resuming on July 13th through July 31st. And then students would return on August 24th with the rest of the traditional calendar schools. A lot of this is due to COVID and e-learning in the month of June, and hopefully getting back to face-to-face in July. So at this time, the administrative recommendation is for approval of the extended academic calendar. And Madam President, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions by board members on the calendar?
Dr. Gaddy, just for clarification, you are saying that that will be online learning then?
For the month of June, it is online learning, an extension of what we've currently been doing.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I guess my question would be, so then in July session, you actually anticipate that children will be in the building?
Today, the answer is yes. We are very hopeful that in July is face-to-face.
Okay.
Today, at least up until 5:37.
Yes, sir.
Other questions or clarifications?
I move adoption of the amendment to the school calendar.
Second?
Been moved by Dr. Ward and seconded by, I'm sorry?
Youngers.
Okay, Dixie? Roll call, please.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kauk.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Gaddy, and thank you, Mr. Buck, for the previous resolution. We will now move to 5.03, Apple lease agreement, and I believe Mr. Fritz is going to join us to speak to that.
Thank you, Madam President and Board of Education. Before you tonight is a new lease agreement with Apple to provide our one-to-one devices for our students, as we have been in a lease since 2017. That lease was for around 23,000 devices. Our need for devices has steadily increased due to increased students and increased staff, as well as utilizing the devices in classrooms for various other reasons. The lease before you tonight is a 5-year lease, and that lease is for over 25,000 devices. If you so with that increase, my apologies, with that increase in number of devices, we also are increasing our annual lease payment from around 2.1 million to a new 2.5 million. One of the items within this lease is we collect all our devices and we sell those devices that we do have currently to help us pay for the final payments of the current lease and the first payment of the new lease. So it's a constant refresh of our devices for our students so that they're getting the latest and greatest and are able to utilize the new things that come out every 3 years or so. With that, Madam President, I'll turn it over for any questions regarding the Apple lease.
Okay, and I turn that over to the members for questions.
Well, this is Paul. First of all, I'd like to thank Keith Howe for his work to make this happen. One of the first things that was stated here in the letter that's posted on board docs again was that the North Kansas City School District was one of the only districts in the state that was fully prepared to the shift for virtual learning. And I truly believe that. I think our work in the past has led us up to this position today, so that when we were forced to go into a virtual environment, we actually had the devices. Again, with this refresh here, that will ensure that we have more devices going forward. But the point is by having a strong network and then also having these devices available to all of our students and staff, we're ready to shift into a virtual learning climate if we need to. So again, thank you to all who've worked hard to make this happen.
Other comments or?
If I could,
Go ahead, Terry.
that's okay, Jane, go.
Just a quick question. I was just going to ask, like, how many more devices are we talking about overall? Or is it included in the umbrella of the lease?
So overall, we're going from 8,000 MacBooks to 9,300 MacBooks, and we're going from 15,000 iPads to 16,600 iPads.
Ooh. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to echo to some extent Mr. Harrell's comment. I think our investment paid off in spades when all of a sudden we had to turn up 21,000 students in a heartbeat. I've been working on some other projects in some other districts, and the fact that we had the devices in the hands of every student, the fact that we had them connected in almost every case and quickly closed that last 200, put us in a position where we were back into teaching within literally a day or two of having to pivot dramatically. There are districts that still have thousands of students who are not connected because they didn't have the connectivity in place. We had that in place. And so I first applaud what's going on to date. And secondly, would definitely think staying current, maintaining the currency of our installed base, if you will, is extraordinarily valuable. You raised a question in my mind, Mr. Fritz, and that is, where do we stand right now on gathering back the devices that were deployed this year? Is it too early to ask that question?
No, it's not too early. We started that device collection today, in fact, and so we are we're continuing that through the end of this week with some makeup opportunities in the following couple weeks. Some of our summer school kids and our year-round kids will be keeping their devices. So we're collecting in stages, and we're getting those devices as we get groups of them to turn in to sell back, with the idea that when we are get this approved purchase through MAC, we'll have all of our new devices ready to go for our new school year in August. And any devices that we were not able to collect over the summer due to kids using them or anything like that, we will be able to trade in one-for-one devices as kids come back to school in August. They'll be able to give us their old one and get a new one. And that way, we hope to get all of our devices collected by August. Diamond Assets is the purchaser of our devices, and they've been really gracious with us this summer to work with us and pick up devices in stages as we have turn-in devices available.
Right, that sounds great. If it isn't too much trouble, I would like to ask for an update August after we've got everything collected. As I've worked with other districts and schools, the thing that keeps coming up is fear on their part about the return rate. And to date, our return rate has been, by most standards, phenomenal. And I just am very curious as to whether that continues through this year, since we're in a world that's in flux. And so I'll be very interested.
Yes.
I would just like to make a comment to thank all the staff for all their work on getting the devices back and having those in place during the pandemic and our online learning. Just thank you so much to everybody for all their efforts in that area.
I would just like to add my appreciation for the hard work and time that's gone into this presentation for the contracts and the forward thinking to have additional computers as well as updated computers. I know and believe that we are going to continue to be more and more reliant, and how seamlessly this worked this year. I was extremely proud, and I too have been working with some other organizations that are still even into this month struggling to have had their students educated and to continue on, and we just did not miss a beat. So both previously as well as ongoing, I am so proud of the hard work that's gone into this area and the investment that the board wisely made. I was not on the board at the time our first investment occurred, but I really feel like it's been one of our best investments and has paid out so well for our students' success. So thank you very, very much. So we have a motion.
So moved.
Is that correct? Lost track a little. Yes. And a
second
in Ms. Youngers. And roll call, please.
Ms. Wardick,
Yeah.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kauk.
Yes. So unanimous approval of the Apple lease agreement. And the next item is Apple device case agreement. And back to you, Mr. Fritz.
Thank you. This is just another piece of the puzzle. What we have on this item is our cases for our pre-K to fifth graders are a much stronger case. We also have a new Logitech case that we're going to be offering to or providing to our 6th through 8th graders and staff. That includes an attached keyboard, because it helps with the transition from the iPad to the iPad with the keyboard and then on to the MacBook. And we've also in here added Apple Plus Care for schools. In the past, we've had options to purchase the Apple Care product, which is Apple fixes devices as they break. In the past, that option has been at a significant cost. I would say in over $1 million. And this new Apple Care Plus for schools offers 2 annual repairs of the devices, and it's at a much cheaper rate than it has been in the past. And so this will help supplement what we have in our IT department, where we have hardware techs that will repair devices and things, the MacBooks. The Apple Care Plus is for the iPads that we have, and that's included in this item as well. And with that, Madam President, I will take any questions.
All right, and I turn it to the board. Thank you, Mr. Fritz, for the presentation. Any questions? Hearing none, I would open for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Stone, second by Ms. Youngers. Roll call, please.
Ms. Youngers,
Yes.
Ms. Wardick,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Dr. Ward,
Yes.
Ms. Kalk.
Yes. The approval of the Apple device case agreement has been approved. Thank you, board. Section number 6, board superintendent reports and discussion. 6.01 is the return to school report, and Dr. Chad Sutton is going to provide that for us.
Well, good evening, and kind of connecting back to Dr. Ward's comment of eyes wide open. I think that's certainly relevant to this topic as well. But as we prepare to transition back to face-to-face learning in July with summer school and of course our modified calendar schools, we have established a return to school task force to develop this plan of reentry. And our task force includes members from central office staff, building level leadership, teacher leadership, which of course is Mr. Guest, and certainly appreciate his willingness to be a part of this team, and some medical professionals that are also parents. We have 2 parents, both doctors, one at Liberty Hospital and one at North Kansas City Hospital, that are both very involved in the COVID units at those respective hospitals, and they have been very great and gracious in terms of giving us feedback about our plan once it's established, and also just talking with us and answering any questions that we may have. The goals of our task force, there's really 4 big goals. One of those is collecting as much forward-thinking information as we possibly can, and there is no shortage of it out there. One of the cool opportunities that we're going to have next Monday, actually, is to have a Zoom call with some principals in international schools in Switzerland and Australia that have reopened their schools already. And one of our consultants, Matt Glover, has been gracious to set us up for that experience. So we're looking forward to learning from them as well. Another one of the goals include developing scenarios and responses. And as you can imagine, there are lots of possible scenarios, and we're thinking through every one and possible responses as a school district. And then of identifying options and actions that we need to take to act strategically and flexibly, knowing that there are many unknowns in front of us, and of course, planning across all time horizons. And the way that we've organized this task force is we have a steering committee made up of about 15 members. And then from that steering committee, we have different subcommittees that are addressing some different dimensions of the plan and, of course, our school district. And that would include the physical plant, facility rentals, led by Dr. Evans, health personnel and social and emotional health, led by Dr. Hilvitz, communications and community volunteers, led by Dr. Daniels and Tammy Henderson, and of course, academics, in which I am leading. And then as we develop this plan, we're of course utilizing the guidance from the Clay County Health Department, Kansas City, medical professionals, the CDC, and many, many other organizations out there that have developed some reentry plans and guidance for schools. And I can tell you, I think our committee spends hours and hours every week reading and trying to do our best to stay up to date to make recommendations that would make the most sense for the health and safety of our students and staff. And so the outcome will be to provide a series of recommendations and procedures that will support our student, staff, and our entire community to be safe and healthy throughout this pandemic. And our goal as the task force is to have all of our content complete for our plan by June 5th, so that we will have plenty of time to take this plan through CTTN. We definitely want to run it by our local health officials, medical professionals, and any other eyes that we can have on it to provide us feedback so that we can be prepared for our July 13th reentry of students and staff for summer school and our modified calendars. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Madam President, for any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Dr. Sutton. Question, members?
I guess I have a question. Are there also board members that are participating in some of these task groups?
At this point, we do not have any board members that are a part of the subcommittees. but we certainly plan on bringing this plan to the board for feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? I appreciate the report, and I appreciate the timeliness of it and how it continues to roll. And you've really done a lot of work since even last week as we were talking and you were unveiling some of the activities within your group. So I appreciate all of the many, many resources that you are accessing and trying to keep us up and ahead of what we can experience through others' experience. So that's particularly valuable as I hear it. And I am very, very interested in that, in hearing more as we go. And thank you. You keep us up to date with all of your reports through the week as well. So we know you're working hard. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Dr. Sutton? All right, very good. Dr. Clemens, did you have anything else you wanted to add on this report?
You know, I'd like to say thank you to everybody involved providing the input, and certainly, Jane, we will make sure the board gets a chance to review and certainly take some input from the board as your perspectives. I think some of the challenges we're going to see not only in North Kansas City but statewide is going to be around transporting kids. That is going to be one of the most difficult parts of social distancing that we're gonna face. And we're looking for some guidance from the state. That is the one area they said they would provide some guidance from, but most everything else is going to be based on local health department recommendations. So I think Chad and his team are positioned correctly to move us forward when the guidance comes our way. But again, the biggest thing that I worry about is our school buses.
So thank you very much, and we will stay tuned for updates. Moving on to 6.02, summer school update. And I believe Dr. Hilvetz is going to provide insight into that. Perry?
Thank you, Madam President, distinguished members of the board. I just want to quickly update you on summer school plans. As I mentioned last month, we are planning an online version of summer school for the month of June and a combination of online and face-to-face summer school for July. Our latest numbers lead us to believe that we might be able to serve as many as 80% of the total number of students that we served last year in both the June and July sessions. Proportionately, we will be employing the same number of teachers as we had last year. Most of the enrollments in summer school are occurring at the elementary level, and that's fairly typical for us year to year. I'm very proud of the team of folks who have come together and worked very hard to make this opportunity possible, and would be remiss if I didn't mention them. Theo Funderman has partnered with Kristen Havens from Academic Services and the HR department to put this model together. And in particular, the elementary principals and teachers worked very hard in recruiting students and staff, not to mention the additional work for food service, transportation, special education, the ELL department, and the nurses, all going above and beyond to pull this together. Very proud of that team. They've done yeoman's work. They're not done yet. We don't know what lies ahead in the next few weeks, but we think we're well positioned to be able to offer the most robust program we can to our students. With that said, I'd like to turn it back to you, Madam President, for any questions.
And to the board members, are there questions or comments?
I guess as we look to going to some face-to-face, what are we anticipating we will be turning up in July?
Well, so I'll give you some estimates. I'm looking back because I've got it all on my board. I'm hoping that we're going to have possibly as many as a total of 1,500 kids, with maybe 1,200 of those being face-to-face, and that's almost exclusively elementary.
And how will we face-to-face? Are we going to 12 to a classroom, 10 to a classroom, split days? What's the plan?
So right now, we are in a position where the numbers of enrollment are low enough and spread out fairly well throughout the buildings we will have, it's not going to look like the regular school year. We'll have much smaller numbers in our classrooms. The student-teacher ratios are going to vary depending on how many kids in each section at each building come. One of the things that we thought about was, should we consolidate to fewer buildings because we have fewer kids? And we really believed that we didn't want people who, because of distance, couldn't make it to the building to miss out on summer school. So we think we can do this smartly and still maintain each site as an independent site.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Do we know, like when you say 80% of the online in June, is there a total number of students that we anticipate and a breakout between elementary and upper classes?
Sure. So last year was our biggest year. Last year we had a total of 8,000 students. This year, the June numbers look like they're going to come in somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000. That's all online students. That's also going to include our ESY students who need additional services as noted in their IEPs. The remainder will hopefully be made up in July.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Others?
I might just add is are North Kansas City school teachers actually developing this online curriculum, or are we accessing others for the content?
So there's a combination. I will tell you that a grand majority is written and produced by our own teaching staff. We feel that is important because they know our kids and they know most of the kids that they're going to be working with and where their deficiencies lie and where our curriculum is. We do also contract with a company that provides us online through Launch. And so Launch is a product where when a student signs up for a Launch class, and this at this point is only high school 4-credit classes, they are with a certificated teacher, but it is not, the content itself is a course that is not produced by us, but meets all Missouri state standards and is taught by a Missouri certified teacher. It's the old eCampus.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm just very grateful that we have an opportunity to trial run some face-to-face in July, and I'm sure there'll be lots of lessons learned. So that gives us a good opportunity with smaller numbers and to iron out some of the opportunities we may face in August. So thank you for the hard work and the many teams that have been putting forth. It's just like it is truly reinventing school all over again and starting from square one. I'm again very proud that we have such talented staff and members that are committed to the teamwork and to doing the best job possible for our kiddos. So appreciate that. Thank you, Perry, for your very hard work. All right, bond campaign update. And I believe Tammy Henderson is going to present on this.
I am. Thank you all for the opportunity to update you this evening on the activities and our progress towards what we hope will be a successful bond election a week from today. I'm sure you all are as anxious as we are to get this bond election behind us. This has been a crazy, crazy trip this time, but we feel like all the pieces are in place for a successful vote. I wanted to give you just a little recap of where we've been, and then I'm going to tell you where we are at and where we'll be by the end by Election Day. Dr. Clemens, along with Dr. Daniels and I in tow, made over 100 presentations to employee groups, buildings, civic groups, homes association, realtors, business organizations, cities, and many, many more. When you consider the fact that we lost about 6 weeks of the campaign, well, I guess we didn't lose it. We had gotten ourselves right up to the momentum of 2 weeks before the election when the COVID-19 times hit that we kind of had to restart things back up. So most of those 100 presentations were made prior to spring break. The community committee, which is chaired again by Gladstone Mayor Carol Suter and also by Brian Mercer, PTA Council Chair, they met about 8 times. We've met twice now virtually over the last couple of weeks, and I'm pleased to say we had about as good attendance virtually as we did when we were meeting face to face. So the community committee has been wonderful. They've been enthusiastic. They're sharing the news through their social media channels and really have, they've really stepped up and have been able to take on some questions. So it's other patrons and other parents that are answering some of these questions without the district having to chime in. So that was very nice. We have made tens of thousands of reaches through social media over the last several weeks and months. Again, endorsements we've had are from Northland Neighborhoods, Northland Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Greater KC Chamber of Commerce, Gladstone Area Chamber of Commerce, the NKC Business Council, the Clay County EDC, the NKC NEA, the NKC PTA, the Iron Workers, and finally the Greater Kansas City Building and Trades Council. So that's a great deal of confidence. They have all been shooting things out quite a bit lately to their memberships. So we're able to reach folks that we wouldn't normally be able to in many cases. Also, you all would have received your copy of NKC Insider Magazine in March, and that was devoted entirely to the bond election. Now let's fast forward to today, well, actually last couple of weeks and beyond. This weekend, we did a final mailing of postcards that went out. If you drove down maybe 152 today about Brighton or somewhere along 435 and Parvin Road, hopefully you saw our big banners that show the endorsements and also to kind of mimic the yard signs that we have up. Those all have gone up. We are increasing our social media posts. I think that we are posting now 2 to 3 to 4 times a day, including bond information as posts, and other times during the day. Of course, this week we're also focusing on graduations. But we've gotten a great deal of coverage out there in terms of social media, and also the the circle of influence emails that went out have continued to go out as well. We know where our polling locations are. We actually do have elections in 3 of our schools this time: Oakwood Manor, Chapel Hill, and Gashland. But all of the polling places will have signage for the district to remind folks to vote. And then finally, we're about doing daily reminders to parents, our business partners, and what have you. There was a big e-inside that went out last week to 40,000 people that are from our Power School poll. And then we also have a great deal of people on the community e-news, and information was contained there. And then we're going to be doing a final message through School Messenger to parents, particularly on 6/1, reminding them to vote. Again, for as strange as this campaign has been, the enthusiasm has continued to be incredible within the district. We have virtually seen very, very little negative regarding our issue, and everyone that we've talked to have been very, very supportive and very excited about the fact and understand the need, which if you can get people to understand the needs and you can make sure they're educated on why you're doing it, you have a much higher chance of having them vote yes. So we're excited about that. So all that remains at this point is the actual election on June 2nd, which is again a week from this evening, and the watch party that night. So we would like to invite you all to join Cabinet in the boardroom. If you would like, we'll wear our masks and there may be a snack or two. We'll make sure we socially distance ourselves. But what we were thinking is having the board and cabinet together in the boardroom, and then we'll have the community committee come in through Zoom, or not Zoom, sorry, Matt, Microsoft Teams. And so that they can join us as well. And then we have told the committee that we would like to celebrate in a better way with them, maybe later this summer, maybe something to do with the Early Childhood Center, because there's 110,000 square feet we can spread out in there, but to try to do something face-to-face possibly in July. So we are really looking forward to next Tuesday and what we hope will be a successful outcome. And that, Madam President, is my report.
Very good. Questions and comments from the board? Thank you, Tammy.
Okay.
Well, again, I'd just like to say thank you. We've certainly, I think, have done a good job explaining the need. As you've mentioned, there's many, many groups and organizations within our community that you guys have touched on. So again, thank you very much for that. Now it's a matter of, again, being safe, but at the same time, doing everything possible to get our community to vote, whether it's absentee votes or whether it's in person next Tuesday. So hopefully we can join you for the success party next Tuesday night.
I would just like to reiterate what Paul said and thank you for all the work that you and your team have done to push that out, and looking forward to June 2nd as well.
I bet.
Others? Let me express my appreciation to that committee. I think it's remarkable that through all of the other distractions of family changes and work changes and all, that committee has held strong. And it's, again, a testimony to our community and the relationship our school district has with patrons and community at large. So I so appreciate them, and thanks to our chairman and to you, Tammy, and your staff that have helped. It's also been really fun to hear from the chamber that our signs have just been flying out of their office and that we've had to replenish those, or others have had to replenish those. So the community is very engaged. So it'll be fun to be together on June 2nd. Thanks to everyone who has gone out and spoken and gotten word out. The educational opportunity to tell our story is just invaluable. So, others? All right.
Madam President, may I?
Yes.
Yeah, I just, again, like to say thank you to our community. They've been fantastic, and they expect that we continue to get better and improve. And it's really nice when they back us up and support us as we continue to bring plans to them about our attempts to ensure that we are champions for all kids. So just thanks to everybody that has supported us.
Thank you. And 6.04, the bond construction and expenditure update, please. And I believe that's Chad Evans.
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
Absolutely.
Before I turn it over to Matt to go over the Bond 46 financials, I wanted to give the board an update. Last month, we talked primarily about North Kansas City, Norclay, and the ECC. So I wanted to give a quick update on where we are with the other Bond 46 projects. We are no longer, we don't have any contracts out other than North Kansas City High School right now, which we have 4 at North Kansas City High School. And then, of course, we have the Norclay project, South Campus project, that we're still under. So all the projects are closed out except North Kansas City and Norclay. So we're very excited that is starting to really close out 46 before we go to the voters for 41. And I think we all ought to be very proud of what we've accomplished over the last 3 or so years in trying to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars and the bond for 46, because it's coming to a close now, and it's been a very successful chapter. We just have a few more things that both Matt and Jeff will talk about here in a second to completely close us out. So with that being said, Matt, go ahead and update us on our Bond 46 financials.
Thank you, Chad. So we are currently just over 95% complete on our paid to date. We have about another $6 million or so left to spend. And as you mentioned, Chad had those remaining projects. Since last update, we've spent about $1 million out the door since the last time we gave you an update. If I go on to the next slide where we show kind of the J.E. Dunn version of our budget, they were tasked with 114.9 million of that, and we come in just a shade over that, just by about $39,000, which considering all the overages and the unknowns that we went into North Kansas City with, I think that's an exemplary number that we came in at. So with that, I'll pass it on to Jeff to give you some more pictures and things on what's going on today.
All right, thanks, Matt. I have just a few photos I'd like to talk you through. This one on the left, that is that's the wrestling room, shaping up to be the wrestling room there at Norclay. That picture on the right, not an exciting picture, but I just wanted to show you that we are cutting a couple of openings that'll go from this wrestling practice room into that gymnasium. So it'll make it easier for those student athletes to move back and forth between the wrestling practice room and the that gym number 3. These photos, the one on the left is the men's locker room. Is one of the new locker rooms that are going in down there, wrestling locker rooms. And the one on the right, I just wanted to show that we are also addressing the women's locker room as well for the female wrestlers. So that is getting an update as well. And then adjacent to the locker room, the new men's locker room, this is the new dance studio that's also there at Norclay. So this will be a nice place for the dancers to rehearse. And this next slide, take a good look at this building. This is probably the last time you'll see this building look like this. South Campus. You'd think it'd be really easy to go in and just tear a building down, but there's a lot of government entities that require reports and inspections and things like that to make sure we have all our ducks in a row before we can actually take that down. And this morning, we got our last little duck to line up. And so I expect this building to actually start coming down tomorrow. And so in the next few days, this building will look quite a bit different. And then just a couple of quick slides. This is the Early Childhood Center, looking very, very empty inside. All of the walls are now down that are going to come down. And so the next few weeks, we're working on re-roofing this building. The weather hasn't been real cooperative with that, but we made some good progress last Saturday, and it looks like we're going to get a break in the weather later this week. And so probably working again this weekend to try to keep this project on schedule. So with that, Madam President, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions that you or the board may have.
Any questions or comments? Anyone?
The one comment you'd want your treasurer to make is kudos, 0.03% variance is darn fine.
Thank you.
Others? Well, I do appreciate the transparency with the ongoing reporting, and the board has always known exactly where we are every month with the bond. And I think that's an excellent practice that this district will continue on and on. We've always been very transparent and very accountable to those dollars that come to us from bond related capital projects. So great job. Appreciate that. Others?
Well, again, more than anything else, again, I want to say thank you, and again, echo what was just said, but really, we are coming to the final stages of these bonds. These projects have been constructed as promised to our voters. Again, the financials have worked out as Dr. Ward alluded to. So more than anything else, this is the time to say that, we've completed these projects as promised. And now we're asking our community to help us continue to move forward next Tuesday with a whole new set of projects.
All right. Hearing no other comments, Dr. Clemens, do you have anything else to add?
In terms of the construction, I absolutely appreciate the board's confidence in allowing us to do the major projects in which we're able to do, and our staff's I appreciate you for making sure we do it under budget. We've had a few changes here and there just to make sure that we kept things the way they needed to be, but hopefully we haven't impacted the final product. So I'm very thankful for that. Madam President, may I talk a little bit about the retirement video?
Absolutely.
Thank you. First of all, I want to send my apologies to the Board of Education. That's not technology is great when it works the way you want it to, and tonight it wasn't our friend as much. But what we are planning to do is we'd like to take the comments that each board member made and embed them into the video, in which we have, and it has sound, and give a link to all of our retirees tomorrow to make sure that they can see it and appreciate it. We'll also make sure the board gets that link so that you can see it and hear the full video, and post it on our website so that everybody can celebrate our retirees like they deserve to be celebrated. And so my apologies to our retirees. You deserve better than that, and we should have been able to come through. But technology doesn't always work, darn it, the way we want it to. So thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Board of Education, I do want to also just say to all of our retirees, we thank you for all you have done for the district, for each of our schools, and for the young people that you have touched and served over the years. It takes so many individuals and a multitude of talents for a school district to run as successfully as North Kansas City Schools. And we know that those talents that you have lent to us through your impact with the children are represented amongst this group tonight. We will miss you. You are caring and compassionate people. You are dedicated and determined to make a difference, and you have indeed made a difference. You've put young people and their experience in our schools and their needs above your own, and that has been demonstrated time and time and time again. So we thank you year over year, not just in COVID times, but across your entire tenure with North Kansas City Schools. So again, we're sorry that we couldn't personally shake your hand and provide your certificate, but we do hope that you know that we are extremely sincere in our good wishes towards you, and wish you the very, very best in your next adventures. Congratulations to each of you, and we will look forward to seeing you out in the community and remaining friends with North Kansas City Schools. So thank you so very, very much. And we will also spend time looking up the video and enjoying it because we were anxious to see your faces as well and celebrate with you on those. Thanks for your loyalty and your perseverance and years of service to public education. We are going to be moving forward on the agenda. Future board meetings are posted on your calendar. Our next board meeting, we are going to attempt to meet in person, but those board members that do not feel comfortable with a face-to-face meeting may certainly virtually access, and we will continue to stream so that others can participate without having to be in the room and to fill the room. So we've really appreciated the participation in these virtual meetings. And even though we had a few little hiccups, our intentions were the highest tonight to make it a quality experience. So thank you for hanging in there with us all. One last thing, remember the election is June 2nd. We hope that you will get out and vote. And it is both the bond election as well as our Board of Education election. So we will look forward to seeing you at the polls if you have not already voted by absentee ballot. We also have the excitement of graduation this week, which will be virtual, and we are assured that those will be working very clearly. We've already had a preview of some of those, and we are not live streaming. So you will be able to access North Kansas City's graduation at 7 o'clock tonight, and we will celebrate with all of our hardworking graduates tonight, and to their families and to the individual students, and all, we give our heartiest congratulations to you. We, again, miss seeing you in person, but we are with you in heart and in spirit. So good job and carry on. Thank you for being loyal students in North Kansas City School District. We'll miss you. Anything else for the good of the order? Dr. Clemens or any other board member? Saying that, we will adjourn the meeting and we will look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Oh, or don't forget the June 2nd follow-up party after the election. So thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.